All right, welcome everyone. Today I have the privilege of speaking with seasoned trader and market expert Joe Duffy. Joe's built a reputation for delivering powerful, results-driven option strategies. We'll be discussing his career, his flagship programs, Target Zone and Quantum AI, and his proprietary Scoupe Indicator, and also what's on the horizon for his trading innovation. So Joe, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, John. I appreciate being here.
So Joe, let's start with a bit about your journey. Can you kind of walk us through your career in trading and how you got started and what led you to where you are today?
Yep. Okay, well, the biggest thing that really got me started, back in the 90s, there was a contest ran by a guy named Norm Zeta, and it was called the U.S. Investing and Trading Championships. And I think it's still around in a smaller form today, but in the 90s, it was big. It was in Barron's all the time. It made the cover of Futures Magazine and Stocks and Commodities Magazine, and Barron's ran separate articles on it. It was a big deal, and guys like Paul Tudor Jones and well-known names in the hedge fund industry like that got their start there. So that's where I got started. I was in it 3 years, and each year I had triple-digit returns, and it was all real money, and it was all audited, so that there was no funny business going on like that. But that's where it really allowed me to leverage to get into the trading business. And from there, I went to work for a bank, one of the largest banks, international banks in the world, where I traded the bank's prop trading book, which means I traded for the bank's risk, as a profit center. And after that, I sort of semi-retired, I guess. I kept my hand in trading, but never missed a kid's volleyball game or hockey game or anything like that. Got to play the sports that I like to play a little bit more often than perhaps somebody my age would have. And, I had a market letter that I ran with Futures Magazine for a little while, and then just getting involved eventually with you guys with FFR. And that's the journey right there.
And that market newsletter you mentioned, I believe you won a pretty prestigious award for that, did you not?
Oh yeah, when I was at the bank also, I did come in pretty early in the morning, and so I would write what I thought about the market that day, and ended up being, there was a survey company that surveyed all the banks and all the big corporate clients internationally to see, so they could tell the banks where they, how they were doing in certain areas. And I was the number one analyst for my morning market letter. So yeah, so that was a nice feather as well, for sure. Yeah.
So pretty impressive background. Now, since you've developed two powerful option trading programs, the Target Zone options and the Quantum AI. So let's start with your Target Zone program. Can you kind of give us an overview of what makes this system unique?
Yeah. Well, what I like to do on Target Zone a lot of times, sometimes we'll just trade straight puts and calls, but straight puts and calls are a tough game to play if that's the only game you're playing exclusively. So what we like to do is sort of say, how do the floor brokers make money? And the floor brokers are always short the options, always. They're the market makers, so they're always short the options. And they hedge their positions, but they have the advantage of time premium working for them, because as we all know, if you know anything about options, you know that it's an eroding asset. Every day that goes by, and it's an exponential curve, by the way, the closer you get to expiry, the faster the rate of erosion in the time premium. So that's an advantage if you're short, because if you just sit there every day that goes by, you make money. So what I like to do is if I'm long an option, and I like to go a little bit far out, a month, 2 months, 3 months, a month only if the option is very volatile, but normally 3 months. And then if it goes my way a little bit, I'll sell a covered option against it in the short term. So if I'm long something 3 months out, I may sell something that expires in a week against it. And of course, when I'm short something that expires in a week, I get that exponential time decay in my favor. And if I've waited a little bit till the market's gone my way, I've really just I can often lock in a profit on both sides of that spread. Now, without a visual, that may be a little hard to understand, but I think the important part to understand there is what we're doing is trying to take the floor broker advantage for our own to the extent that we can as retail traders.
And what kind of traders is this program suited for? Can beginners use it, or is it more advanced?
Well, you can. It's not sophisticated in the sense that I tell you exactly what to do. It'll say, you know, buy this option, sell that option. And once, if you've spent a day with your order entry system, you can certainly see how to enter the orders, whatever, you know, TD or Ameritrade or whatever you're using. None of them are so sophisticated or complicated that you can't figure out how to use them in an hour. So yeah, you can certainly do it because the directions are there for you. And of course, there's also the option of having it Trader Assist, which does the orders for you, so you don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
Excellent. So shifting now to the Quantum AI is a newer program of yours. This program takes a fully AI-driven approach to options trading. Can you break down how the AI generates the signals and why this gives traders an edge?
Well, yeah, AI is, I don't even have my hands on it. Actually, I don't even run it. Obviously, I've put the input into it, but the orders just come off and they go in. So there's no, whereas with Target Zone, my fingers are on it, and, you know, there's some, it's, you know, part science, part art, which I think a lot of trading is. But AI is just, listen, if I test something across, you know, 500 stocks over 40 years, I've got millions of data points, right? So when you have that much history, there is no guarantee that history will repeat. But if you've got millions of data points, you have a better chance that history will repeat because you have so much data that you've looked at. It uses the same rules for IBM as it does for you know, NVIDIA as it does for Apple, as it does for Microsoft. So there's no tweaking of the rules for individual stocks. It uses the same for everything, but the rules are strictly, you know, buy, sell. There's no fingerprints on it. It's just completely AI.
And that's, you know, it's had a pretty impressive run so far. I think 77% of the trades are winning, and it's averaging an annual return of about 606%. So phenomenal success with that Quantum AI program. I want to kind of switch a little bit to, you have what's called a Scoupe Indicator. This is a proprietary indicator that you developed that helps you kind of guide your entries and exits. Can you explain how that works and why it's so effective for you?
Yeah. Well, I've actually, well, we'll get to the continual improvements, I guess, but it's basically the philosophy that I have that works for me is, one, have some way to define the trend. Okay. So once you define the trend, then you don't jump on immediately. You then wait for a definition of a pullback. And again, these are they're rule-based, but there's also some room for interpretation from me. So it's basically define the trend, define the pullback, define the entry, pull the trigger, and off you go. Now, just to jump ahead, recently I've found this mathematical support resistance line, I guess, that I've used in conjunction with the Scoupe, and I find that when the price gets down to that line, or up to that line in the case of a downtrend, and the Scoupe looks like it's giving it a good signal, I have a much higher probability of success on that. And that's just something that I've come up with in the last probably less than a year. So yeah, so that's how it works. It's basically a way to buy the pullback in the trend. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. And that works for short-term trades as well as maybe longer-term
listen,
trades as well.
If anyone is familiar with the whole concept of the prop trading industry, where um, it's for day traders, where they'll fund you to trade their money essentially. I'm involved with that and am funded for that. And yeah, I use that, 2-minute charts all day. So whether I'm using it for weekly charts or 2-minute charts, the philosophies of the market really don't change. What's the trend? How do I get on it with the least risk possible?
Amazing.
And if the others, let me just add this too. The one thing about the Scoupe that's good or great actually is that when there is no trend, it doesn't give you any signals. So you're not getting whipped around, back and forth, buy, oh, now it's going down, now you sell. It's not like that. So no trend, no signals.
Excellent. Now, obviously, you've already developed some highly successful trading strategies, but I know traders are always evolving. You talked about some of the tweaks you've made with your Scoupe Indicator. Do you have anything else that's new on the horizon you want to share?
New. I would say no. Just that support resistance. Hopefully, I guess if we're going to talk about it in a webinar at some point. But other than that, not really. I've got really the Scoupe. I've got this little program that I came up with last year called X-Ray, which really, again, it's a visual, and it really simplifies things for me. It's blue bars, red bars, basically, with a little confirming, band along the bottom, where when the colors match on the same bar, off you go. So, yeah, the more you do this, the more you realize that less is more. And that price is really king. So you should be watching price bars more than you should be watching indicators. And so that's why I have very few indicators, or just one really. And mostly I'm just watching the price bars. And that's experience. There's no way to learn that other than to watch the market.
And I know you'll be sharing a lot of this information in an upcoming webinar here, so folks look for that. Joe, this has been incredibly insightful. Before we wrap up, do you have any final words of advice for traders looking to improve their results in 2025 and beyond?
Well, I think I would say this, John, in terms of the stock market, and I say this a lot, I do a daily video, and I say this a lot, and it's hard to get your head around if you've been in the market a while like I have, but it's no longer a market where a rising tide floats all boats, or a sinking, sinking S&P 500, takes everything down with it. It's becoming much more a market of stocks than a stock market. So stock picking is really, I think, the way forward here. And we've seen it so many times recently. If you want to look at a stark example, when the S&P was making new highs recently, Apple was going down every day. It dropped 16% at a time when the S&P kept making new highs. Now, a couple of years ago, even, if Apple was down 15%, the market wasn't up. But we've seen that more and more and more, where things are marching to their own drummer. So that would be my the number one thing I would watch out for is to, unless you're trading the SPY, don't worry too much about the SPY. Look at the stock you're trading and make your evaluation just on that stock.
All right, fantastic. And thanks again, Joe, for your time and your expertise. And for everyone watching, if you want to learn more about Joe's trading programs, check the links below. Happy trading, everyone, and thanks again, Joe. And we'll do this again, I'm sure, at some point again in the future here.
Okay. Thanks, John. Thanks, everyone.